Re se re tseba. Bible is an inscription of things that took place mona mo lefatsheng. Bible e bua ka the visitation of other beings from other dimension here on this earth. For example, how sheba the chapter ya Ezekiel. Ezekiel mentions the visitation of these beings from the other dimension. Oring, while he was still there, is it Sheba, with these other captives, slaves, amongst them, where it's a hansa le kai, a fitlhelwe a etelwe ke this spaceship from the other dimension. According to nna ha ke analyzer, ha Ezekiel are the heavens opened, ho ya ka nna, the so-called portal, ke yona e etsaetseng ya buleha moo, because he's saying the heavens opened and I saw the visions of God. This man o bile dipono tsa modimo, o bone modimo literally, but God, you know. Why I say God, I will come to that point. Yeah, God, Lord. Because Lord and God are two different things. So now, Ezekiel ha fita abona this creature. What he describe on this creature say in elinto tse jwang. These creatures, as he says, they had 4 faces. The other face was of the eagle. The other face was of a lion. The other face was of a man, and the other face was of really, I can't remember what the other face was of, but however, he mentions that it was 4 faces of these creatures. But now, how to la pele, o tla utlwa le wena for icon. This man o bua ka the spacecraft, spaceships, or planes. As it mentions and speaks about the wings, we take it as if it's flying wings, like flipping wings of birds. No, it's not flipping wings of birds. It's wings, as it mentions and says, they were connected to each other, covering the body of these creatures. Now, we know, helicopter with its circulating wings, they cover the body. We know the airplanes, their wings, they are attached to the body. Now, as much as I describe that description of those creatures, we can hear and see which one Ezekiel onabuaka the airplanes, Ezekiel onabuaka the spaceships, Ezekiel onabuaka the spacecraft. Now, how to lapele and continue explaining what took place. You hear Ezekiel was communicating with living beings, because he says they had the man-like, the likeness of men. They had the likeness of men. So come on, batho ba nana ine ile di beings, ine ile batho. Hobane ba kgonne le hore ba monke ba tsamaye le yena. Mme ha tsamaya le yena, ba batla a measure whatever area e a fitlileng ho yona. Now there's this thing e bitswang mother, is it the mother spaceship? Yeah, the mothership, something like that. The mothership is a huge spaceship se carrying other spaceship, meaning this huge spaceship, the mothership, ke mo ho phelwang ka teng, ke mo ho operatelwang ka teng. These airplanes tse loreng keng, although di le kgolo, but di nyane ho mothership. Shebella the Star Wars, o tla bona ntho ke buang ka yona. Star Wars ba dula ba le mo spacing, but hore ba fihle fatshe, they take out small spaceships tse loreng keng ba tsamaya ka tsona hore ba fihlele to the ground. Ke yo tsona ntho tse loreng keng Ezekiel wa di describe in the Bible. Now the Lord thing, ha ke re Lord, now according to my understanding, when you speak about the Lord, you speak about a chief of a certain group, like soldiers, a chief, a leader, a captain within that group. Now, here the reference I'm actually referring to military, the military crowd. So this is why hearing chief, the Lord. Mudimu is not a Lord. So Ezekiel never saw the face of God. He met with the Lord, a leader of that group that came and visited earth in the 13th year, April the 5th. Ezekiel ha qeta mo ha ntse explain wa utlwa hore this person o bua ka mabidi e leng king, they were going up as this spaceship was going up. O bua ka the way ne di rotator in one direction ha di jika kaofela. And you know hore spaceship sheba fela sefofane ha se tsamaya ha mabidi a jika kaofela. They turn in one direction. Haya kwa, mabidi a shebela kwa, they all face the same direction. The same description within the chapter of Ezekiel. Ezekiel, ubuaka, these rims, they had eyes. Eyes? Eyes? The rims, when you speak about the rim, you speak about the outer layer of a tire attached ka di boat. I guess not the boat ki in let antshwarela. Now the boat tse no tse re buang ka tsona on the rims ke tsona tse Ezekiel yena had described, because he never knew these things. It was of the first he ever came across these things. So he describes them as eyes. Exactly the way the rims dealing kati. They have those circular spaces. I would say boat. Let us in the comment section. I would say boats. Ne, ka sesoro na re di bitsa di boat. Tse lo re ke ndia facilitator hore rim e kopane le eng e kopane le taere. So we hear hore Ezekiel was looking at the spaceship. It has nothing to do with the creature that we've been given as a description in the Bible. It has nothing to do with those cherubs they are talking about. That cherub in circulate. It has nothing to do with that. It is a literal space-built spaceship. Same as Jesus. Jesus, when he was leaving, the Bible says Jesus okalame liru. He float up upon the cloud. Aya hodimo. Is that possible? Like using your mind, is that possible? We have the mind. We can use our mind. That thing is never possible. That thing, it has no even like it's 0.000001% chances, probability of taking place. Now in the description, in my analysis and understanding of what is actually being described, Morena Jesu is one of those people who came up upon this earth from the other dimension. He came with a spaceship, and also he left with a spaceship. The spaceship has its amaya. You see one thing only: dust. A dusty cloud. You see a dusty clouds coming from the ground due to the pressure that is coming from the Apollo or the spaceship. I guess if it's okay, a hammer that pressure from its pipes or the exhaust. You see the dusty clouds. So Jesus also rode on a spaceship. Jesus took flight on a spaceship when he left this earth. This is why in the description in the Bible they say Jesus float upon the cloud, which is something that could never happen. I disagree. o tla ntshwarela motho wa ka, o tla ntshwarela motho wa ka, o tla ntshwarela wena my follower, o tla ntshwarela whoever kopana le video e a nkile nako mamela video e. It has never taken place, that thing. I refuse. So we are speaking about the spaceships here. It is things that took place literally, not through the blind faith that we have been indoctrinated in. Now, the indoctrination is a development of education, forcibly making that person, but not using a brutal force, like the manipulative force, forcing that person to believe in an alien tradition, alien education, alien belief system. That's exactly what took place with us. Had we been colonized by Muslims, actually the Arabs, we could have been indoctrinated into Muslim, into Islam. Had we been colonized by the Portugal, by France, we would be speaking French right now. Our what you call our major communication language would be in Portuguese. Our major communication language would be in a different language from English, had we been or had we not been colonized by the English. Languages. So we have been indoctrinated in this thing. We are made to believe into this thing. This is the indoctrination we have been given. That is the development of that such education, of a certain education alien to indigenous people. So that is indoctrination. And we have fallen for that. We have taken it. But now is the time. Now is the time of information, knowledge, and wisdom, or awakening. We are awaking. We can see, we are realizing. We are using our mind, not just taking the blind faith. Ezekiel, Jesus, all this thing, it's alien stories. Extraterrestrials, super beings, who came here. You go to the book of Enki. You go to the book of Enki. You will see, Uguti, there were beings who came here years and years, like 400,000 years ago. Who came here? 200,000 years ago. Who came here? To a point, we now get the theory of how humans were created. To a point where we get to see that we were genetically modified. To a point where we get to know about the first Adam. To a point where we get to know the true definition of Adam. Because now, according to this description, this information, the Adam, the garden, the Garden of Eden, you'd find that the Garden of Eden was actually a laboratory where the first Adam, the first human being, was actually engineered, because it says Adam is the first primitive engineered human being. The first engineered primitive human being, who was actually engineered for what? To do labor. Who was actually to do what? Work for the gods. Who are these gods? I forgot their name. It will come. But those gods, they are the ones actually, when I say gods, I'm talking about these super beings. But then within these super beings, who we refer to as gods, they had a leader, Anu and Lil. Enki. They were one of the leaders. Hence Anunnakis. Anu was the leader of these gods. This name is trying to come back, but it keeps flipping away. It slips away. It slips away. I wanted to give you this, the Giges. Is it? The Giges. The Giges. Yeah. It is the name of those gods. When you go to that book, the Lost Book of Enki, you find about such things, that these people came here 200,000 years ago and they engineered us. human beings, the humanoids, because they wanted people who would do their work, who would work for them. These gods, the Gigis, they started rebelling up against the leaders, their leaders. And hence they opted that, you know what, the only option and the resolution for this is if we could create human beings. Let us modify these people. Let us modify their gene. Let us modify their DNA so that they can be able to listen and work for us. That is the story. Go also outside of the Bible. You would hear about the extraterrestrial visitation. Jesus, Ezekiel story, the same thing. Moses, the very same thing. It's all the same, people. It's all the same. From the Garden of Eden, Genesis. It's all the same. We were visited here. Enki, the master of medicine, the father of medicine, Enki. Enki is the one who came to Adam and Eve. Enki is the one who told Adam and Eve the truth and enlightened them. Enki, it is said that he was walking kalere. Natsama kalere lenan le snake. Hence, they speak of a snake. The snake is a symbol. It's a symbol for Enki. Hence, these medical centers, their vehicles, they have that snake, the cross and the snake. Enki onatsama kalere la the course of life, not the course of death. Yeah, Jesus. No, the course of life, the ankh. Onatamaka that course in a snake. So banana bari mislead, the barafa the course in the usual course, the baikinya, the snake. Itute ho obatle information outside the limitations tsa Bible. Negotiations are fela for Bible ibua about literal things that took place. I wasn't fighting, I wasn't arguing. Because it is said, you need not to argue. You need not to argue with those who are not on your level or your equals. You teach or you share. That's what I'm doing here. It's up to you whether you do your research. It's up to you whether you remain ignorant. It's up to you whether you take my word and then follow up on what I've said using your mind. It's up to you whether you're gonna say it's up to you. Nna ke a tseba ke dumela ho eng. A ke tlo dumela ho ntho ya lefifi. A ke tlo dumela nthong ya lefifi. Ke sa batle ho botsa. Now, I've given that information. I don't know now when because now when I say extraterrestrial beings, they came here. They visited us. We know that Jesus fled off the spaceship. Ezekiel saw the spaceships. Re se re tseba. Ana wa tseba na. Ke la rata kaofela.